We're going to get started, and I want to introduce everybody to President Jim Kanders.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you for all of you coming this evening. It's a pleasure to see such a crowd. And good evening. So we're going to start out with welcoming the members of the Lake St. Catherine Association and their guests. The Lake St. Catherine trustees have been working hard this year on a lot of different matters, and we have a slide presentation that will address those items. And so without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Jeremy, who's created the slide presentation. At the end of the slide presentation, we'll ask you to go out on the porch for a little bit so we can change this over to a dining facility. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. All right. Hey, everybody. Good evening. We're going to get right to it so we can give you all this great information, and then we'll get to dinner. My clicker will work. Oh, boy. You're already having technical difficulties? Let me try this one more time here. Yeah. There we go. All right. The IT guy figured out the tech stuff, so that's good. Okay, so as Jim mentioned, we wanted to welcome everybody, all of our members, everybody that's interested in the lake. And we'd like to welcome a few special guests. We've got State Senators Brian Collmore is here, David Weeks is here, and Terry Williams. Thanks for coming. We definitely appreciate their continued interest in the lake. State Representative Chris Pritchard, he will be here a little later. He had another commitment, but he is going to be here this evening. And Well Select Chairman Don Pruce is here, and he's also going to say a few words about a study that's been going on Westlake Road.
All righty, thank you. For years now, Westlake Road has been an obvious traffic problem to anybody that lives on it, uses it, whatever. We've had several meetings with people, residents, and not necessarily residents even, but people that use the road or might visit friends there. We have finally, after about our third traffic study over the last 10 or 15 years, we finally have got it through people's heads that it's a dangerous road. It has a lot of pedestrian traffic, dog traffic, bicycle traffic, and just traffic in general. We just got the results of the traffic study, and there has been, I don't know if any of you've noticed, but there's been strips across the road at both ends of it, which not only give you the car counts, but it gives you the speed at which the cars are going. And it seems the average 85% of the cars are above 35 miles an hour. The speed limit is 30. So what we've proposed to do, and we're trying to get the last end of it finished with the state, is to lower the entire lake, or Westlake Road, to 25 miles an hour, and there will be 2 speed bumps installed at 2 places along the way, probably somewhere Lake St. Catherine Cottages or before, and somewhere up by perhaps DJ Boone's or somewhere up in that area. That's still up in the air, but just wanted to get it across that we have been diligently working on this, but we kept getting pushed in the corner from the state, and all this stuff has to go through the state. Anytime you lower speed limit below 35, we have to have a traffic study done, which is a pretty pricey deal. So hopefully the end is in sight. You may not see it this summer, but when you come back next summer, things will be different. The signs will be different, and hopefully it'll improve. Thank you.
So thanks to Don for his work on that for us. Oh, and so I want to say thank you to the staff of the Country Club. Thank you for everything for this evening. Appreciate their work. Thank you. So this evening, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. We are making a recording of the presentation, so we'll have that posted up on our YouTube channel later in the week. And as Jim mentioned earlier, after the meeting, we'll just ask everybody to step outside briefly, and we will get set up for dinner. Okay, so this is what our agenda is for tonight. We'll go through all these topics. Water quality, AAS prevention, and down the list. So I just wanted to show this slide. This is all of your volunteer Lake Association trustees. So if we give them all a round of applause for all the good work they've been doing this year. Thank you. And we do, as you'll see at the end when we do the board elections, we do have one opening. So if anybody is interested in helping out on the board, please let us know. So a little business thing that we have to take care of. So last year we had our meeting here that was recorded as well. This is the agenda that we had that evening in our minutes. So if I could have somebody make a motion to approve. Thank you. I saw Dawn's hand first. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you. And could we get a vote to approve? Hey, all right. Thank you. As I said, we're recording this, and if you wanted to look at last year's recording, that's also available online. So the first thing we want to talk about is water quality. Every year for the past several years, if you've been to these presentations, we've talked about the Stormwater Master Plan, the Watershed Action Plan. So we don't want to go into those too much detail this evening. We've talked about those, but we do want to highlight a couple of water quality things that are new. So as I talked about, we work with local partners like Poultney Meadowy Conservation District on some of those programs that I just mentioned. We also work on Lakewise, which we'll talk about briefly. And we're also doing some water monitoring and testing that we'll talk about as well. So this is kind of cool. This is our first major project that is coming out of the Watershed Action Plan and also taking a project out of the Stormwater Master Plan. So this is a set of 3 properties on the Little Lake on Locklear Lane. And you can see here, if folks know these folks, so that's Gloria, lives right there. This is actually a parcel right here where all the trees are. Herb owns that one. And then we've got Mark, who has this property. So during storms, we get a lot of water that comes down Locklear Lane, and there's been washouts of driveways and other areas here where the water is rushing into the lake, carrying phosphorus, carrying sediments into Little Lake. So we wanted to address those. So what was great about this one is it's 3 projects from 2 different plans that we were able to put together. And we're going to do some things such as putting in some swales, some check dams, some bioretention basins, and some plantings to deal with the stormwater that's coming off of this. So here's a couple of drawings. These are definitely going to change with some things that some of the property owners are working on currently, but this is the big one. Herb, who all these property owners gave permission to do this project on their property. A lot of stormwater comes through that channel where we talked about where all those trees were. So they came up with a great solution to put woody obstacles in here that will slow the water down and infiltrate it before it ends up getting into the Little Lake. And then they'll also have some areas around here where the driveway was coming down, and then the driveway on the other side. So that's all to make the water slow down so it's not going and rushing into the lake. So we've got a number of projects like this around the lake. This is our first major one that we were able to submit to what's called the Clean Water Service Provider. That's monies that are available for projects like this. And this is a $45,000 project that we were able to get funded through this program. We might not be able to do it this year because the homeowner needs to do some work. But this is a major project that we're really excited about, and the first of many that we hope to implement from those stormwater master plans and the watershed action plan, all to keep phosphorus and sediments entering into the lake from these big storms that we have been experiencing the last several years. So we're really excited about that one. Lakewise, we talk about this every year. This is a program where you can get involved on your property. We have funding. We get grant funding for this every year. This year, especially, we have lots of funding. We got $20,000 just for implementation projects, so we can do bigger things. And Pulteney Meadowy is doing a great job. If you've worked with Jaden, who they hired full-time to work on Lakewise, she's doing a great job around the lake. So if you're interested in this program, please let us know. They come onto your property and work with you on projects that you agree to, and based on their recommendations, and then we get the funding for all that work, for all the materials and for all the labor. Kim's here, right? Where's Kim? There, she's in the back. She's hiding. So Kim was a Lakewise winner in 2024 for her property. And that's her right there at her property. And so we have 29 award winners of the Lakewise Award on our lake. And our goal is to get 15% of the shoreline owners on the lake a Lakewise Award that would award the lake a gold Lakewise Award. So that's what we're striving for. We've got a long way to go. We need to get to about 85 to 90 properties to get that award, and we're at 29 currently. Hopefully we'll get a few this year. So if you're interested, please let us know. This is a great program, and it helps with the water quality around the lake. So what I want to do also is make Kim a little famous here. A couple of years ago, Pulteney Meadowy participated in a video series that the Lake Champlain Basin program put together, and they did a lot of cool filming here at the lake. So I wanted to show you that video real quick.
The Pulteney and Meadowy rivers flow from the steep hillsides of the Taconic Mountains through the gentle agricultural valleys of Vermont and New York. They empty into the Champlain Canal within 3 miles of each other before entering Lake Champlain near Whitehall, New York. These two rivers are inextricably part of the communities they traverse along the way. The stories told here share common threads of environmental stewardship, community action, and ecological restoration.
My great-grandfather bought the cottage in 1911, and we've been here ever since. We've got those little ones now, and we want to protect it for them and for everybody else who loves the lake. So anything we can do that allows us to continue to enjoy the lake and protect the lake, we want to do.
We've seen engagement from the lake community increasing. You know, that's really important because we can fundraise and do the things that we need to do for the lake, but we also need involvement from the community. The things that they can do on their property can make a big difference around the lake, especially if we're all doing it and contributing. So the work of the Lake St. Catherine Association is really important for the overall health of the lake. Stormwater mitigation is just another huge one for property owners to be concerned about, with stormwater runoff carrying phosphorus, sediment, and pollutants into the lake. We work with the lake community to raise money and funds for the lake. We also work with organizations, environmental organizations in the state, to get grants for the lake. And then we use those funds to do programs like Lakewise, which work with individual property owners.
The very first time Lakewise came, this was all grass even down to the water, and I used to pull my kayak up here.
We actually have funds to come to your property and help you with plantings, to create buffer zones in your shoreline, to make rain gardens, to capture water before it can rush into the lake. So there's lots of opportunities for the individual property owners around the lake to make their property lake friendly. It's just really important for folks to get involved, be concerned about what's going on, support the Lake St. Catherine Association, get involved if you can, volunteer if you can. We can all pitch in a little bit and make a big difference. So that was a pretty cool video that they put together a couple of years ago. So some other water quality things that we do. We participate in the lay monitoring program. So Mary Jo takes water samples every couple of weeks, sends those in, and those get tested. And we've got historical data on that, on those testing parameters. Pulteney Meadowy and Castleton, they are monitoring a lot of the tributaries that go around the lake. The state, with one of their partners, just did this huge study of the lake called Next Generation Lake Assessment. We're hoping to get that information here in the winter. We've talked about that a few years in a row. We keep waiting for that data, but I was told we're going to get it this winter. So we'll share that with you. And then what's new this year is we got a grant to buy some water testing equipment. So we were excited about that. So through a grant from the Lake Champlain Basin Program and NUIPIC, we were able to purchase 3 in-lake loggers. So those loggers are now in the water. There's one up here in Lily Pond. There's one over here by Karen's place. And there is one down here by Mark's place on the Little Lake. So those are constantly measuring for temperature, dissolved oxygen, and conductivity. So what those will do is let us know how the lake's doing as far as temperature, dissolved oxygen, and then the conductivity. Our limnologist will be able to look at that data and see how road salt might be affecting the lake. So we'll learn a little bit about that as well. Those loggers were placed in the lake in June with help from Mike. Where's Mike? All right, Mike. He helped make some great buoys that we put in, and a great system, so I can go to those buoys, pull them up, and connect my iPad and download that data from those. So at the end of the year, our limnologist will take a look at that data along with all the other data that's collected about the lake, and she'll make a report for us that we'll share with everybody. So that's what the loggers look like, these right here, these guys. So they've got dual monitors on there, and they're hanging from the buoys at those locations. And then this is a handheld tester. We haven't deployed that yet, but we're getting it configured. And what we'll be able to do with that is go anywhere on the lake, drop a probe, and take some readings. So that'll be interesting to do, like after a storm event, to see what might be going on in the lake at that time. So here's a couple of pictures of where they are in the lake. The one in Lily Pond and the one in Little Lake are these big orange buoys, ball buoys. And the one that's in the big lake, that's in a very deep spot, even though it's right near the shoreline. It's in about 50 feet of water, which is kind of crazy considering how close it is to the shore. But if you've been over there, you know how deep it is over there. So that's why we picked that spot. It was away from boat navigation, and we could get it very far down to the bottom of the lake. And these are grants. These are grants that we are working on every year to get money from the state and environmental organizations, so we can bring that money in and use it for the lake. And these have been 2 great partners for us each year. So we're going to go over to aquatic invasive species prevention and control. So you'll probably hear me say IAS a lot during this part, and that stands for aquatic invasive species. So those are plants or animals that do not belong in this lake, but are in the lake, or we're fighting to keep them out of the lake. So this is what Fish and Wildlife and the Vermont DEC talk about invasive species. They're non-native species whose introduction can cause harm to the environment. Invasive species impact the health of our water bodies and aquatic communities by changing the ecosystem. And so that's why we work so hard to keep invasives out of the lake or control the ones that we already have. So this is a screenshot from the state of Vermont's AIS section of their website. You can see here, there's a bunch of aquatic invasives that are found in many Vermont lakes. If I hit this next, you can see these are the 3 that we have of this. So we have Eurasian water milfoil, we have curly leaf pondweed, we have alewife, and then unfortunately, we just discovered this year that we have this invasive, the rusty crayfish. So that's new. I want to talk about that a little bit. You might not be familiar with that. So this is the rusty crayfish. It looks like a normal crayfish, but you can see it's identifiable by this rusty spot right here. So you saw one of these, that's probably where you'd try to grip it to pick it up. So think of that as a thumbprint. Oops, sorry. Think of that as like a thumbprint of where you pick it up, and it's got this kind of rusty color to it. It's also got this very distinct coloring where there's black tips on the very tips of their claws, and then they've got this little orangey spot, and then they get back to this crayfish color here. So this was discovered by somebody along Route 30. They thought it looked unusual. They let us know. We ran over to take a look at it. We took some pictures, close-up pictures. We sent them to the DEC. We froze the specimen to send to the DEC so they could confirm. So unfortunately, well, I just talked about that. They've probably been in the lake for quite some time, even though this is the first discovery and confirmation of it. They were most likely introduced to the lake by a bait bucket transfer, and unfortunately, they're very destructive. So they're very destructive of aquatic vegetation. They're notorious for clear-cutting plants with their big claws. They displace our native crayfish and can actually hybridize with them. So slowly they will take over as the dominant crayfish in the lake just by hybridization. They have an impact on our fish population because they consume aquatic insects that the young fish rely on. And they are also very effective of raiding the nests of smallmouth and bluegill to eat their eggs. And they alter the food web. They consume massive amounts of energy, plants and invertebrates, and they are difficult for fish to prey on. So they act as a sink where their energy gets trapped there, and they're not contributing to the food chain. So that's why it's a bummer that these are here now, or that we have these. So that's why we do this. That's why we work on the greeter program, which is at the boat launch. So anytime you go to the boat launch, there's a steward there that we pay for as part of the program, the greeter program. And they're checking boats when they're coming in and when they're going out. So they're looking for any aquatic invasives that a trailer and a boat might be pulling in. And they also want to make sure that they don't have, say, some milfoil on their trailer when they leave, so they don't bring that to another lake. These are some of the other invasives that are in nearby lakes or rivers that we're constantly on the lookout for. Lake Bombazine has zebra mussels, so they're just north of us. Spiny water flea was found in Lake Champlain. Hydrilla is in the Connecticut River. And then the golden clams, they are in Bombazine, and they're also in the southern end of Champlain. So we've got a lot of invasives that we're working to keep out of the lake. So this is one of our greeters this year. Here are some statistics from the past several years. This year, we've already inspected 1,006 boats. That's data as of yesterday. And those are all recorded. And it's a good opportunity to talk to the boaters about AIS. And what's exciting is we got a grant this year. So we are able to actually have a greeter on duty from Memorial Day to Labor Day, 12 hours a day at the boat launch. So, previously with the funding that we had available, we were only able to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and try to catch a fishing tournament or a holiday. But now we've got somebody on duty from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which is great. So this is another program about invasive species. If anybody's interested and likes to paddle and learn about the plants and animals that are in the lake, we'll schedule what's called a Vermont Invasive Patroller paddle. That'll be the end of August or early September. If you're interested in that, let me know. We go out and we'll paddle around the boat launch, because that's where, if we were to have an invasive introduction, that's most likely where it would happen. So we'll take a look around there. They're fun, and it's a fun day just to get out and paddle. So we'll let you know when that is. All right, so let's talk about our milfoil control program. So as you know, who's familiar with what Eurasian water milfoil is, what it does, has no natural controls, can reach 20 feet tall. It outcompetes our native plants. So it's obviously an issue that we work to control. So identification, that's what it looks like. It's this leafy plant here with a distinct stem with these every inch or so you see these. So here's some milfoil. It's a little hard to see with the projector, but these are all our native plants around, and then there's a piece of milfoil there and a piece of milfoil there, and with our natives. So here's some lookalikes. This is Elodea. You'll see that. It kind of looks like milfoil, but it's not. Coontail definitely kind of looks like milfoil, but it's not. These are our natives. Common bladderwort kind of looks like milfoil, but it's not. We get a lot of calls that say, people say, hey, I've got milfoil in front of my dock, and most likely it's this, Illinois pondweed. That's one of our natives and one of our most abundant. That plant was almost down to 0 when we had milfoil issues in through the up to the 90s and up to 2000. And that plant was almost gone. And now it's one of our most abundant, and it's a great plant to have. We want that growing in areas where milfoil was, so the milfoil can't grow in that area. Also want to mention this one. This is curly leaf pondweed. It's got this kind of distinctive pattern on its on the leaves. It kind of looks like the edges of lasagna. Thank you. Couldn't pull the word out. Lasagna noodles. That grows very quickly in the spring and then dies back, but it does cause an issue. I'll talk a little bit about that too. So here's a bigger picture of that curly leaf pondweed. Over the past several years, it's been very prolific in the spring in the northern end of the Little Lake and into the channel. And we're starting to see it in other areas. So we have our DASH team keeping an eye out for it, because we don't want that getting established in other sections of the lake. So if you see that, pull it out just like you would have with milfoil. So real quickly, we've got a 5-step plan that we use to control milfoil in the lake. We've got some flyers here about what you can do to stop the spread of milfoil. So that's a publication that we make every year. So education, volunteer cleanup. So this was a cleanup that we did last year at the end of the lake at Lake's End at the dam, where a whole bunch of the homeowners and other people around the lake gathered, and we pulled out just an enormous amount of milfoil and got it out of the lake. We did, and I'll talk about it a little later, there was also an event at the Wells Lakeside Park where we did that 2 weekends, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can make a difference. If you've got milfoil growing near your dock, get in there and pull it out if you can. And if you can't, ask somebody if they can help you, because the more we can get out of the lake, the better. So here's one of our divers working under the water with some milfoil, just about to pick that. So what our divers do is they go down, they hand pick the milfoil. They've got a suction tube that they put the milfoil in. It goes up onto the boat, and then there's a catch basin, and then there's somebody up on that catch basin putting all that milfoil into buckets to get it off of the lake. So they don't actually suction the bottom. They hand pick, get it by the roots, and then send it up to the boat with the suction tube. Last year we didn't do a spot treatment. We did do a spot treatment this year in a few spots, very little acreage. I'll talk about that with the herbicide. And then, as I talked about earlier, with the project on Lockley Lane and Lakewise, we got to do everything we can to limit the runoff going into the lake. That's carrying phosphorus, which feeds the plants. So dirt carries phosphorus. We got to eliminate the sediments from going into the lake. So that's why these projects are really important. The more we can turn that spigot off of runoff going into the lake, the plants will have less stuff to grow with. So that's what we want to do. So here's our what we did in 2025. It was all DASH last year. They removed 648 buckets. We did not do a spot treatment in 2025. And you can check out every year. We have a very thorough multi-day plant survey that's done on the lake, and you can see that on our downloads page right there. So the 2025 report is there. Using that 25 report, oh, and here's a map. Sorry, I made it sideways so we can get more in here. This is the milfoil density map. So not only do they map where our native plants are, but they also map the density of the milfoil around the lake. So you can see where we have some dense spots, where we treated here and here. There's a dense spot here on Little Lake. So this was, and again, this is based on the 25 survey. So obviously things change over the course of time. We'll have a plant survey done again here in September coming up soon. So here's our 26 control plan. So you can see a lot of green. That's where all our DASH team is going to be working, or has already worked this year. And they're continuing to work through the summer here, through September. The red spots are the spots where we applied herbicide spot treatment. So there was a little spot, a couple of spots here in Atwater and over by the Sunken Island, over in Idlewild, and over here outside of Forest House. And then the DASH team, per their permit, they can't start using the DASH boat until July 1st, but they were able to get into the water because they don't need a permit to hand pull. So they went to less dense areas where they could hand pull effectively, and they dove, used mesh bags to get that, and they did some hand pulling up in North Bay and then some of the other bays that didn't have very dense areas. So they got some work done before July 1st. So we've talked about a lot of these, what you can do. As a general rule, get as much milfoil out of the lake as you can. The more, if you see it floating around, scoop it out if you can. If you've got it on your shoreline, scoop it out. If you've got a plant growing, pull it out. Anything you can do to get that milfoil out is going to help. So I wanted to talk about this chart, which was misinterpreted a number of times online. This is a chart from the DEC. What they did is they looked at our plant data from when we started working to control milfoil with the DASH team and herbicide spot treatments. So that's when it starts for all three basins in the early 2000s. So you can see the trend lines here. Those all indicate that since we started working on milfoil control, that our native species have increased in species richness. So this shows over time, and there's been fluctuations that'll happen naturally, but overall, species richness has increased. So what that means is we've got data points all over the lake that get returned to every year, and you look down and you do a scoop and you see what plants come up. So obviously when milfoil had taken over the lake, you'd pull up and it'd just be milfoil, maybe one other plant. So now when they do those at those areas, we're seeing more native plants, and that's exactly what we want to see. So that's what that chart shows. So just want to get this out there. Every year when we do a milfoil treatment, there's lots of misinformation about our program, what we do, what Percellacor is, what the rules are, anything involved in that. If you ever have any questions, let us know. We work very closely with the DEC. So we've got answers that we can give you if you have any questions about the program. So please let us know. And all these programs that we talked about, the state of Vermont helps to fund those. We also got a grant from Lake Champlain Basin Program and NUIPIC for these to help with the DASH team and to help with the greeter program. That's what helped us make it so that we could run it 12 hours a day. So great partners helping us out with grant funding. So let's talk a little bit about outreach and engagement. Looks like I'm doing okay on time. We work very hard to keep you folks updated on what's going on around the lake. We've got our website. Our blog is frequently updated. We have our Facebook page that we try to keep updated with all lake related information. We've got a spring and a fall newsletter. We send out frequent membership updates through email, if you're a member. And we also do dockside chats where if you want one of the board members to come over and chat about the lake, let us know. We'll come over and come over with our boat, park it, and we'll have a chat about the lake. So here's some exciting news. As you can see in the top left there, that's our logo. That's been our logo for many, many, many years. And our website, if you've been on it, well, most likely everybody's been on it because you registered for the dinner. Was looking a little dated. So we're trying to spruce that up. We worked with Andrew Gulas, who lives over on Westlake Road. He's the one who designs our patches every year. So hopefully folks have been enjoying those little critters every year that we give out when you become a member. And he designed a new logo for us. So I want to show that to you folks now. Hopefully you like it. Oh, all right, good. I like that. I like the so he designed a couple of different ones with different critters, but we went with the loon and the baby loon. Everybody's been enjoying that for the last several years. But he did a great job. We really love it. And we can't wait to get it out there. So we're happy we were able to show that to you tonight. And we thank Andrew for his good work. So we also, yesterday I got an email from the folks we're working with on the new website, and they gave me a couple of screenshots that I can show you. So here's the new what the new homepage will look like. Nice big pictures of the lake. We've reorganized a little bit of the information. This is a work in progress, but we wanted to show this. And also wanted to thank Karen and Andrew and some other folks, Ben, who have contributed their photos to the website. We asked if we could, and this is one of Andrew's famous drone photos of the lake, which is just beautiful. Here's another page. Karen will recognize this one. That's one of her pictures. So this one is recommending that you join the Lake St. Catherine Association. So I thought that was great with the Osprey. So hopefully in the fall, this will be launching. We're working on that right now. Hopefully it'll be easier to use, and we'll keep it up to date with all the information that we usually do. Some other stuff that we did and worked on this year, Green Up Day. We had a great Green Up Day this year. This is where on May, the first Saturday in May, we go around and help clean up the roads. So this little dude, that was his first Green Up Day. So I thought that was a great picture his mom sent us. So that was great. We had all the roads around the lake were covered, and some other roads and wells in Poultney. So it was really good. Everybody was pitching in on that. Just want to mention this. I don't think I've mentioned this before at previous meetings. The Ice Out contest that we have every year. Here's our previous champions, guessing that. So keep your eye out for that. We do that every spring, try to guess the Ice Out day. This was this is about a month ago. This was in June. Folks organized to Lake St. Catherine Association, Conservation Fund, the Delaney Committee. We all got together and did a little cleanup at Wells Lakeside Park. We filled up a trailer load of junk and milfoil. We had about 15 volunteers, and we just did that again last weekend. And we're going to keep working on that. Hopefully next year we'll do it again a couple more times. We're trying to make this area a little nicer for folks so they can maybe swim from the dock and around that area where the beach is on the Wells Lakeside Park, which is a beautiful park if you haven't been down there. In the corner here, that's Dom. His mom volunteered him, but he was happy to be there. He's working to become an Eagle Scout, and he needed to do something in conservation and protection, so he came out and helped us that day. It was great. Good kid helping out that day. The boat parade. So hope everybody enjoyed the boat parade. We had 14 boats participated, over 450 votes. Here's some of the winners, most patriotic. George Rowe was first place. These were contributed by Ben Nichols. He's got a drone and he took these for us. Jim and Tonic, that was a good one. They were working out and drinking at the same time. Mike and family ship of tools, dressed up as tools. That was great. Barn in the USA, and Jim and Tonic came in two. They tracked in two categories, and then best overall was the Boston Tea Party. That was pretty cool. They made bundles of tea that they could throw and then pull back in and throw them again. So they were doing that all around the lake. So we had a great boat parade this year. We were just at East Poultney Day, so a lot of folks there. Thanks for coming to both. Appreciate that. We always like going to East Poultney Day and talking to folks about the lake. So I want to talk about a little bit about a statewide organization called the Federation of Vermont Lakes and Ponds. They are working for all of our lakes, and they advocate for policies with the legislature, and they try to work with lake associations to assist them in any problems or issues that they're having at their lake. So we are one of 53 member lake associations in the state. We do have a trustee who participates as a director on the FOVLAP board. They participate in monthly meetings with DEC and DEC staff to make suggestions. And anybody can become a member to support that organization who's supporting us. So I just want to talk real briefly about some of the work that they did this year. So every year, FOVLAP goes to the State House card room, which is right outside the cafeteria. So we get to talk to good folks like our state representatives and senators that are in the State House. And I would be very happy to thank and say that all of our representatives came and visited us that day. So I reached out to Senator Williams and Weeks and Collmore and our representative Pritchard and McCoy, and they all came and stopped by to say hi to FOVLAP, which was great. Some of the things that they're working on, you might have heard that there was a chloride bill that was working to reduce chloride going into our streams and rivers and lakes. It passed, but the governor vetoed it because he thought it didn't have enough protections for people who do the work for the salt, so they can't get sued. So I'm hoping, well, we've heard that that bill is going to come back, hopefully to address those provisions so that the governor will sign that, because salt in our water bodies is starting to become an issue. A couple of the bills here that FOVLAP worked on and testified on to the committees. One that I want to mention is Senate 224, S224. That had a provision in it that would have made it so that every year we have to apply to Fish and Wildlife to say, hey, can we have a greeter program here? And they have to approve that with a special use permit. So that bill, as part of that bill, with one of the provisions in it, it would have made it so that we wouldn't have had to do that every year, that it would have been a approved activity at the boat launches, which it should be. You know, if people can enter the lake there, you should be able to look at the boat before it goes in to make sure it's not taking an invasive species in there. So that's one that we hope they're going to work on again as its standalone bill that we can get passed next year. It's very important. They also, you might have heard a lot about use of public water rules that was in the news. That was another thing that FOVLAP was involved with. They just passed those, and it changed how wake boats can operate in the state. And I have a slide that I'll talk about that and how it impacts Lake St. Catherine. And then also every a month, they have discussion groups with lake associations that are dealing with issues with their dams or dealing with lakes that have wake sport zones or lakes that are dealing with milfoil. So we participate in that monthly meeting. And their annual meeting is coming up on September 10th. It's going to be at the Vermont Historical Society in Barrie. State folks will be there, and you can attend in person or on Zoom. And I just wanted to show a quick video that FOVLAP put together about protecting our lakes.
When you look out at a body of water, it is beautiful. It rejuvenates our soul. We people, I think, in general, are drawn to water. And in Vermont, there are hundreds of people working every single day behind the scenes, trying to protect that water.
It's impossible to staff government agencies to the level where they could be at every lake, collecting data, protecting the lakes. This whole system of volunteer lake associations has developed over the last 50, 60, 70 years. The state agencies are able to provide scientific expertise, technical expertise, training for the volunteers.
We as users of the lake are now stewards of the lake. And it's our job as community members to make sure that we continue to work hard to preserve the quality of the water.
The volunteer lake associations really take responsibility for overseeing the lake, work with property owners around the lake, but they also work with all of the people who live in the watershed. That's the whole area surrounding the lake, to reduce runoff, to reduce pollutants going into the water. Lake associations also manage the greeter programs that inspect boats coming in and out of lakes. They also do a lot of water sampling, so they collect data.
If we're not all in on trying to reduce our impacts on the lakes, then, the problem's going to get worse, and we're going to see more cyanobacteria blooms, more beach closures, more issues with actually using the lake.
Milfoil alone can knock out an incredible ecosystem and create an imbalance within that body of water. It has caused significant problems for the lake users, the recreation use, the ecology of the lake.
It only takes a little stem, a little leaf. Just a fraction of a plant, can make a whole new plant. The greeter program is the first line of defense for protecting the spread of invasive species via boats in and out that go from lake to lake.
Milfoil can live on your trailer or your boat for up to 2 weeks. So that's why it's so important that we ask people to wash their boats and that we look over them and make sure that they're clean and taken care of so that those things don't hitchhike to another body of water.
But we all live in a watershed, and those watersheds can be as small as one small stream. They can be as big as the Lake Champlain Basin. So we all need to be mindful of how we're interacting with our properties and with our watersheds.
Runoff from your property, pollutions from your property are going to run into a tributary that's eventually going to make its way into a lake.
Could be gas, it could be oil from your car, could be trash, that could be fertilizer or manure. And when that happens, we end up with cyanobacteria blooms, which can create toxins, and those toxins can be really dangerous.
We definitely see progress, and we have many, many of those lakes still here in Vermont that have no aquatic invasives, that have low phosphorus levels, no cyanobacteria blooms.
There are actions that all of us can take to impact the health of our lakes. And all of our small changes together can make a really big impact.
All of us can be responsible for protecting these precious water resources here in Vermont.
Learn how you can help at vermontlakes.org.
Yeah, so that's a great video that FOVLAP put together to help support organizations like us who are working for their lake, and that's what FOVLAP does, supports lake associations. So let's talk about finances real quick. So our funding comes from membership dues and additional donations. As I've mentioned a couple of times, Lake Champlain Basin Program and NUIPIC, we work to get grants. The state of Vermont has a program for grant and aid for AIS, and the town of Wells and the town of Poultney with voter-approved budget allocations that we get every year. And we're working very hard on grants. We look for grants. They're a tremendous amount of work. There's a lot of reporting, a lot of things you have to do to meet the requirements, but they're worth it. We put the time and effort in to get those, to bring that money to the lake, and then it gets invested directly into the lake. Membership, we've got a goal of 400 members for 2026. We've got 15 business sponsors, and I mentioned the patch earlier. Hope everybody's enjoying those. We do a different critter every year. This year was Henry the Heron there, looking great. Our membership package, so every member, this is the package that you get, and thank you to my wife for writing the thank you notes every year. So she handwrites those to everybody, so that's great, even though she complains about it a lot. But so we did send out a reminder to folks who haven't renewed yet this year, and these are our current stats. We're at 364. So you can see, even though we haven't hit 400 yet, our average contribution is very high. So Typical cottage owner membership that we asked for is $100, and our actual individual contribution average is $211. So thank you for everybody's support. And I'm going to hand it over to Mary Jo, who's going to talk about the Treasury report. There you go, MJ.
So Jeremy did these little pie charts here that basically show you percentages of our current income. And as he mentioned, donations and dues by membership are a large part, about 50%. We've taken in about $39,000 in donations, $36,000 in dues this year. We've actually been paid out about $13,000 for the water testing equipment that Jeremy's expended on his new testing program there. State of Vermont, town of Poultney, and the town of Wells have paid out the $48,000. So we've brought in about $138,000 this summer since January. Our expenditures at this time is the next pie chart. Most of it's professional services for DASH, spot treatments of the Priscilla Core, our greeter program. Those are really our biggest expenditures. The new website is costing a bit this summer. We do a lot of mailings, legal, web, and insurance. That's payroll, taxes, insurance, and things like that. So we've expended about, where are we? About $83,000. So we have about $55,000 left in our current revenue. We have a lot still going on though. DASH isn't over, greeter program's not over. All the grants that Jeremy has talked to about, that we've applied for, is we will receive up to about $98,000 this year in grants. Over time, takes a really long time. It usually flows into a couple of years by the time all the reporting and everything gets done. It's a pretty laborious process. For anybody who's interested, we are switching banks. We were with Citizens in Granville. There is no more bank in Granville. So we're sort of moving to a couple of different banks to make sure that we're covered by the insurance, the FDIC insurance. So we opened up a CD at Arrow and a money market at Arrow, and we put all of our savings in it. We have about $200,000 worth of savings. And at the end of the summer, we'll be switching our checking account probably to Heritage, something that's a little bit easier accessible for us to operate out of. So we're really in pretty good shape. We have a good savings in case of some catastrophe happening, or I mean, as most of you know, that when we did the sonar treatment, it cost us a couple $100,000, and if we ever had to do anything major again, it will, I'm sure, be a lot more than that. So that's why we sort of keep that savings there. We appreciate, we've gotten some very generous donations by membership, and we really appreciate everybody's effort into keeping us solvent. So unless there's any questions.
Thanks, MJ. We're getting towards the end here. Lake safety, you might have read about an incident I'll talk about in a moment, but we really want to stress there's a 200-foot rule around the lake. So 5 miles an hour in the lake safety zone, which is 200 feet out from shore, or if you're near another boat, 200 feet, you need to give them, and only 5 miles an hour if you're passing somebody within 200 feet. This is a picture of our game warden, Justin Turner. So if you do have a safety issue that you're concerned about, please let us know, or you can reach out directly to Justin. His contact information is on our website. So this is the close call I want to talk about. Last week, somebody came within 10 to 15 feet, literally, of a diver down in the water with a pontoon boat speeding towards them. So even though they have the dive flag out, they have all these buoys out, the boat has all kinds of banners on it to show that it's a dash boat. The person up top was waving, trying to get him to stop. So that was really dangerous and very concerning. So please, I know it's probably not folks in this room, but if you do see people that aren't obeying those rules, please let us know, or please reach out to Justin. Mike has been keeping all of our buoys in tip-top shape around the lake. Last year, he put these solar lights on so you can see them at night, which is great. And then we also have a lot of folks around the lake who put buoys in for us and take them out during the spring and the fall. So those are our buoy buddies. We thank them for their work as well. So I just want to mention the updated use of public water rules and how it impacts the wake sport zone on our lake. So there were some changes to the wake sport rules. So if a boat is in wake sport mode, it has to be in this blue area and it has to keep 500 feet away. So previously I just said 200 feet, that's for a normal boat. If a boat is in wake sport mode, they need to be 500 feet from any other thing in the water, including the shoreline. So that's a new rule that went into effect in June. The new rules also made it so that there were 30 lakes that could support a wake sport zone in Vermont, and now we're down to 18. So we are one of 18 lakes that can support a wake sport zone. So some of the concerns obviously are wake boats have huge ballast tanks. They pull in water to get the boat so it can sink a little bit, and they can make those giant waves. So when that boat leaves, they can never get all that water out. So they could be sucking in aquatic invasive species like those water fleas I showed you, or veligers for the zebra mussels, and that could mix in with water into the next lake that they go to. So those are two big concerns with wake boats. I don't think we have a lot of traveling wake boats that are coming into the lake, but that is a concern. So let's talk about wildlife real quick here. We're going to feature a lot of Karen's beautiful photos here. So thank you, Karen. And also a shout out to Dawn and Joel, who are here, who look after the loons in their previous nesting spot. So I got an email, I think, from Dawn that the loons look like they were ready to nest. Karen went down there, got this picture. Looks like, yep, they're getting ready to do their thing. But Dawn and Joel said, they're acting a little differently this year. So keep that in mind. When they were active down there, we ran down. Thank you again to Dawn and Joel for storing these loon nesting signs that we put out for the last several years. They store them on their property, and I go in and throw them in to give them a buffer zone. So we put those in right away. But then soon after that loon photo that Karen took, they were gone. They weren't there anymore. So we're like, oh, wonder what's going on. But then soon after that, we got an email that, hey, there's a loon nesting on the island, which was pretty unusual. So sure enough, my dad and I ran out over there, and there it was sitting on the shoreline, inside on the island, protected from the waves. So I went over to the other place, grabbed two, we put those out. And there's the loon nest on the island. And so what's interesting is Dawn and Joel noticed that there was a lot of activity and noises coming from the loons. So what could have potentially happened, since they changed areas, the male is the one who picks the nesting spot. So it could be that a new male came in and the activity that's where they noticed the weird activity between the loons. So a new male could have come in and kicked out the other male, and then he picked a new place to set up shop on the island. So we didn't know if it was going to be successful. It was a new spot. It was right on the shoreline there. But there you go. There's the little dude right there, little guy or gal right there. So I got a text message from Martha, who was renting the island at the time. They're going crazy. I see a little baby. I think I see it. And she zoomed in and got it. But then that's with an iPhone. Then we let Karen know. She ran over, I think a day or two after, and then captured this beautiful picture. So thank you, Karen, for sharing your photos with everybody. They're beautiful. So let's talk about our eagles. So the nest is over by where we are on Cones Point. So we saw them very active this year. And we heard a lot of noise over there. And they were building the nest again. So we were hoping that they were going to try to have the eaglets again. And then on May 16th, I was walking down the road and I saw this right there. This little head sticking up. So we were like, oh, at least they got one. But it turns out they're three. They had 3 eaglets this year. And they had 3 last year too. So here's a couple more pictures that Karen got. You can see the juveniles. They got full size right away. They're gigantic and very loud. If you haven't heard them. And then I wanted to show this video. This actually happened off of Cones Point earlier in the year. I had gone out on the boat. I saw a huge splash. I didn't know what it was. So I got my camera, my phone out, and then I saw an eagle actually swim across the lake onto the shoreline and then start chowing down on whatever it got. It was so heavy it couldn't fly back up onto land with it. So that's why it swam across to get to the shore. So at the time, the mate was up in a tree waiting for their turn, and it's not in the video that's here, but he or she got his fill, so he can't. It's too heavy. So he got his fill and then flew away, and then the mate came in and finished off whatever they caught. So that was kind of cool to see. So our fish, every year, Fish and Wildlife stocks the lake with brown trout and rainbow trout. So there were on 3 different days they did some releases. So there was 1,200 rainbows and 1,300 total browns were released. And Lake St. Catherine is consistently one of the top 3 lakes in Vermont scheduled for fishing tournaments each year. This is a monster. Just wanted to show that to you. So there's a program that Fish and Wildlife does every year. It's called the Master Angler Program. So if you're an angler and you're out there fishing and you're catching big fish, you can take a picture of that fish and send it in if it meets the requirements. So it's a fun program to participate in. So I just want to let you folks know about it. And this is a gentleman that caught a gigantic 26.5-inch, 8-pound, 10-ounce brown trout in April and submitted it to the program. So that was out of Lake St. Catherine. Beautiful fish. Okay, so we're towards the end here. One more piece of business, and we're just about right on time. We have our elections, 3-year terms. So we have a rotating set of 5 trustees that will run for or serve for 3 years, and then we have another round next year and every 3 years. So these are the folks that are going to stand up for candidates this year. We do have an open seat. So if anybody is interested in joining the board, let us know and we'll talk to you about that. But can I have a motion to approve this slate of folks for their 3-year term? Okay, I see Ken. Can I get a second? Second. I saw somebody back there who's all the way in the back. Oh, Ruby. Okay. Yeah. Any discussion? Okay. Can we have a vote? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Any against? Oh, okay. All right. Congratulations, trustees, for another 3-year term. All right. So now questions. We wanted to leave time for questions. If anybody has any questions, or is just everybody hungry? Ruby, right here. Let me use the mic so we can capture it. Okay. Can somebody hand that to Ruby? Yeah. Whoever's next.
So first, Jeremy, thank you for all you do. You're amazing.
Thank you, Ruby.
I want to get back to the rusty crayfish. Can you tell me, like, it kind of creeps me out. What's size? Because in the film it looked like a lobster, but what is the size of this critter?
Yeah, it's not that big. It's only about that big. I should have put a quarter or something there. Yeah, it's not very big. Yeah, it's not going to sneak up on you and get you when you're swimming. Yeah. I thought, gentlemen, can you hand that to? You got a mic coming.
Of the boats that get inspected, how many get turned away?
Well, they don't get turned away if they have something. The greeter will remove that AIS. So, yep. And the greeters have no authority. So let's say there was an incident many years ago where somebody had zebra mussels on some of their equipment, and the greeter asked them, "Can you please remove that before you go into the lake?" And they refused. The greeters have no authority to tell them to not go in. They can go in, and then the best we can do is to call Justin and say, "Hey, we asked somebody and they've got zebra mussels," because that is against the law. You can't. No, we can suggest and we can help, but we can't stop. Any other questions? Yeah.
About 3/4 of the way down Westlake Road on the non-lake side, there's been a construction project going on there for a couple of years where there's a tremendous amount of clearing going on. Do we know anything about whether that work has been impacting the lake in any way as far as
is that across the road? Yeah, so there is a thing called the Shoreland Protection Act that was passed in 2015 that regulates what you can do from the water line. Unfortunately, that law does not have any laws or restrictions on things that happen across the road. So even if a lake was right here and the road was right next to it, the Shoreland Protection Act does not regulate anything across the road. So your question is it impacting? I have spoken to some folks over there that say that when there's a rainstorm, there might be some muddy water coming into the culverts, and then that muddy water might make it into the lake. So the best we can do is suggest to the homeowners there to talk to that homeowner about what's going on, or report it to the state so they can come out and maybe help that homeowner with what they should be doing. And then also working with the Lakewise program or the Watershed Action Plan, where they mapped all the culverts around the lake so we can divert that or try to infiltrate that water before it makes it into the lake.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other? Oh,
I do have a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Joan. I live on the
Joan.
channel since I was born. I just wanted to say the lily pads. I know that the harvester, there's probably regulations that the harvester can't cut the lily pads, but the channel between, the little lake and the channel, it's really closing in. So I'm just wondering, like, are they going to be able to open that up a bit, make it wider?
Well, so the lily pads aren't an invasive that we can deal with, like as far as the DASH team, and the best we can do with that is trying to have folks maintain their areas, hand pull, and I know it's a common area because it's the channel. So yeah, that's a hard one because we are having encroachment. But I can talk to you a little bit more about that too. Yep. Don had a question.
Not a question. Well, yeah, a question, I guess it would be. Statement, question. This fellow that's doing the work on Westlake Road, regardless of permit stuff, he still needs to be properly blocked off with hay bales, silt fencing, and so forth. If that is not the case, then somebody needs to call the enforcement officer, who will point out what he needs to do, even though, and are you sure that a road plays into that? I thought it was 250 feet and they didn't really care what was between the water and the 250-foot line.
Yeah, it's a kind of a blind spot in the law that once it hits that road.
Well, perhaps we have the right people here this evening to mention that to them.
Any other questions? And if you have a question and you want to, all the trustees will be here having dinner, and so feel free to approach anybody and have a conversation. So thanks, everybody.